This is an analysis from Alpha Business Media. Today, we're diving deep into a critical challenge facing a nation, Nepal's talent exodus. We'll offer not just a diagnosis, but also a prescription for the path forward.
Welcome. We're tackling one of the most significant issues for Nepal's economy right now, the accelerating drain of its skilled people. We call it a skills drain, but let's be clear, it's so much more than just migration. It's the systematic loss of a nation's most valuable asset, its future.
And the scale of this, well, it's just staggering. In 2024 alone, this is the number of Nepalese citizens who left the country, 1,674,000. Now, in a nation of just over 30 million people, a number that large isn't just a trend, it's a seismic shift.
So a number like that, it just begs the question, right? What is driving this mass departure? Let's get into the diagnosis.
A huge part of the story, without a doubt, is the economic incentive. I mean, just look at the disparity here. The gap between an average salary in Kathmandu and a major destination like Sydney isn't just a gap, it's a financial chasm. It's pulling skilled workers abroad in search of a better life. But it's about so much more than just money. There's this powerful combination of push factors at play. For starters, youth unemployment is sitting at nearly 21%, which means career opportunities are incredibly scarce. Then you have an education system often criticized for being outdated. And on top of all that, persistent political instability and corruption just erode the quality of life, pushing Nepal's brightest to look for opportunities elsewhere. So, what's the prognosis here? When this much talent leaves, what are the actual consequences for Nepal's economy? Well, the impact is being felt in every single critical sector. Let's just take healthcare, where the consequences are pretty dire. The country is suffering from a severe shortage of doctors. As this chart shows, Nepal's national average of one doctor for every 1,721 people falls dangerously below the World Health Organization's recommendation.
But here's where it gets truly alarming. If you zoom into the rural areas, that situation goes from bad to a full-blown crisis. The ratio just plummets to this: one doctor for every 150,000 people. Think about that. That's not just a number on a chart. That's a life-or-death reality for a huge portion of the population.
And it's not just healthcare. The agricultural sector, which has always been the backbone of Nepal's economy, is also bleeding its future. The exodus of young, able-bodied workers means that an estimated 20% of the nation's farmland is just sitting there, completely unused. This doesn't just burden the people left behind, it's a direct threat to the country's food security. And this domino effect just keeps going. The IT industry, it's being slowed by a developer shortage. Major infrastructure projects, they're getting delayed without enough engineers. You see how the loss in one area creates this cascading failure, hampering development everywhere else.
And yet, there's a fascinating paradox at the heart of all this. The very same people who are leaving are also the ones keeping the economy afloat. In 2023, the money they sent home from abroad accounted for nearly 27% of Nepal's entire GDP. That makes it one of the most remittance-dependent countries on Earth.
And that deep dependence, well, it brings up a really crucial question. Are these remittances a vital lifeline keeping the economy running today, or are they actually an anchor, weighing down the potential for real, sustainable growth tomorrow?
And this is where you find the anchor. See, while all that money is absolutely essential for things like reducing poverty, it rarely flows into productive, job-creating investments. So you end up with this dangerous cycle of dependency that kind of masks the deep structural problems and reduces the political will for the very reforms needed to create opportunities at home. So, how do you break a cycle like that? While government policy is obviously critical, the first line of defense against this talent drain really starts at the corporate level. What can businesses themselves do to convince their best people to stay?
The corporate playbook is pretty straightforward. It's a robust four-part strategy. It all starts with the foundation, of course, competitive compensation. But it moves beyond just money. We're talking about investing in professional development and creating clear career paths. That's all reinforced by a positive culture built on respect. And finally, you tie it all together with a modern approach to work-life balance and flexibility.
And look, this isn't just theory. It's actually being put into practice. You have successful Nepalese tech firms like F1 Soft and Fuse Machines who are proving that it is possible to build a workplace that keeps its top talent. By prioritizing investing in their people, they're showing that a culture of opportunity can thrive, even in a challenging national environment.
Okay, so that's the corporate playbook. But let's zoom out to the national level and see how this all builds into government policy. Because, a systemic problem really requires a systemic response.
At the national level, the government has launched several key initiatives. We've seen programs aiming to create jobs directly, and more recently, a new national startup policy designed to build up a domestic ecosystem for entrepreneurs, using things like funding and tax incentives to convince innovators to build at home.
However, as we all know, intention and execution are two very different things. The primary challenge remains what experts call the policy-practice gap. You can have these beautifully written policies, but they often just falter when they meet the reality of bureaucracy, insufficient resources, and political hurdles, which really blunts their impact on the ground. And all of this really leaves us with one final, and I think pretty provocative question. Is Nepal's greatest export its people or its potential? Ultimately, solving this isn't just about stopping people from leaving, it's about building a nation they are proud to stay in, contribute to, and even return to. It's about transforming those push factors into pull factors and turning Nepal itself into a destination for opportunity.
This has been an analysis from Alpha Business Media.